A new weather pattern is setting up, bringing multiple rounds of severe weather to some of the country. I'll show you who's most likely to be affected, and we'll take a look at your weekend forecast featuring a loud and wet Easter for some of you. We'll get into that, plus your long-range forecast, and we'll test your weather IQ. So stick around, a fully loaded brand new episode of Cold Rain's Weather World starts right now. Hello again, folks, and welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, then welcome to the channel. Thank you for stopping by. We're going to have a good time today. We're going to get into lots of different aspects of the weather, including the upcoming pattern, multiple rounds of severe weather over the coming days. We'll take a look at your Easter weekend, and we'll take a look at the long-range pattern. In addition to all of that, we're going to test your weather IQ. We've got a little fun fact for you, and we'll take a look at who might see the northern lights later this evening and tonight. So we've got all of that coming up. I've got all of those chapters listed out in the description of this video. But again, thank you for joining. This is Cold Rain's Weather World, where we've got all the weather. It's the fastest growing brand new weather show on the internet, and we are the only show to leave you more confident, happier, and actually smarter than when you came in. So stick around and you'll see why. But we're going to start, as we always do, with our weather IQ question. And that question is very, very, very easy today. I hope you can get it. If you don't know it, wait till the end of the show and I'll reveal it to you. If you know the answer, just put it in the comment section. So here is the question. What is the most common type of lightning? Cloud to cloud lightning, cloud to ground lightning, ball lightning, or heat lightning? All right, so we're going to have that answer for you coming up at the end of the show. So yes, folks, as I said, we're going to leave you smarter than when you came in. We're going to get into some things that drive the weather. We're going to help you understand a little bit about what's causing the upcoming pattern, and maybe even learn a few things along the way about general weather forecasting. So hopefully this will help you out. We cover a wide range of topics here. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. We're at 304 subscribers now. We're only 8.5, I think, billion behind Max Velocity and Ryan Hall, y'all. So we're catching up quick. Leave a comment in the comment section. If I can pray over anything for you, leave that. Leave a suggestion for the show. Hit the like button and like the content. That'll help us grow. But we're going to start here with a satellite picture, and you can see a lot of clouds out here in the western part of the country. We've got some snow that is going to fall out here, and this big cluster of blow-up of showers and thunderstorms over Missouri. We had some severe thunderstorm warnings this morning here, still raining under those clouds. These clouds up here in the northeast are pulling away, and it's going to leave you all with a mostly sunny afternoon as we work through the day. So that is good news up there. Here's your radar imagery. We can see that snow starting to take shape over Wyoming, Idaho, up into Montana, rain in the lower elevations. And there's that big cluster of storms moving through in towards St. Louis now. It's going to weaken through the afternoon as it does so, but just know that it's going to be a rainy commute, rainy start to the day, and rainy mid part of the day for some parts of Missouri here. And we've got some showers working through northeast North Dakota and stretching just into the little corner of Minnesota there. So that's what's going on with your radar imagery. Looking at our hazards map, most of this area out here in the southwest is due to wind and dry conditions. Low dew points, high winds gusting 55 to 65 miles per hour today. We've got high wind warnings, red flag warnings. Don't burn anything out here. It's going to spread quickly. If a wildfire catches up, it's going to explode. So be careful out there. Winter storm warnings up here in into the Rocky Mountains, up into the Bighorns. We're going to see as much as 12 inches of snow in some of the higher elevations, and a little bit less than that where you see the light blue here, the winter weather advisories. I guess that's purple. Air quality alert here in eastern Nebraska remains from yesterday. There's a prescribed burn going on, and some smoke is causing some air quality issues. And all of these frost advisories, I think, have expired or are expiring this morning. So that's what's going on there. Looking out the next 3 to 7 days, heavy rain threat sets back up here over the Central Plains and mid-Mississippi River Valley. We're going to see why that is in just a few minutes. And we've got a few severe weather threats that we're tracking over the next couple of days into the next week. So we're going to look at all of that and see how all of that's coming together. We're going to start with our surface map for this afternoon. We already saw on the radar where rain is falling. This afternoon, we're looking at a severe threat from essentially here, Nebraska up into most of Iowa, southern Minnesota. So we're going to take a look at that. We've got a low pressure that's forming, warm front that's kind of moving north, spreading some warm, unstable air up in here. We've got a general area of thunderstorms that we're going to see. Snow is falling, as I said, back into the Rockies, and some of these areas could pick up some heavy snow. Wind is a threat with critical fire weather conditions down here in the desert southwest, with a little mixed precipitation, rain in the lower elevations higher, and snow in the higher elevations out here as we get into the Intermountain West as well. Now, but our primary threat today that we're looking at is a severe weather potential for much of Iowa, back into Nebraska, and into southern Minnesota. So we now have an enhanced risk. This has been upgraded from a slight risk yesterday for just eastern Nebraska into west central Iowa. So we're going to be looking at what's causing that here in just a second, but we've got a potential for large hail here as being the primary threat, and we've got a slight risk surrounding that, and there's a marginal risk surrounding that with lesser chances of severe weather, although isolated severe wind or hail or something could certainly not be ruled out there. 5% tornado, so we're not looking at a big tornado threat. A wind 15% possible, and then hail is kind of the primary threat, with hail greater than 2 inches in diameter. So we could see hail approaching baseball size in some of these areas as we get through the afternoon. So what is driving this? Well, what do we need for thunderstorm development? We need instability and we need lift, right? So we have to lift the atmosphere, and the more lift we have, the more unstable the air, the more wind shear that we have, wind increasing with height, the greater the chance that we see thunderstorm activity. And certainly in some cases that can go severe. So what do we have this afternoon? I'm not going to show you the dew points, but the CAPE sort of reflects that. We're looking at CAPE here. This is potential energy for thunderstorms, so think of it as thunderstorm fuel. You'll hear that a lot on social media because it's just a way to take a complex situation and distill it down. So thunderstorm fuel, just like your car needs gas, this is gas for thunderstorms. And so we've got CAPE increasing as we get into Thursday afternoon, this afternoon. As we get into late afternoon, we really see that. So dew points are coming in, CAPE is increasing, and we're getting close to 2,000 joules per kilogram in some of these areas. So that's plenty. That's good fuel for thunderstorm development. And as you can see, as we roll this on through the evening, we get into 7, 8 o'clock at night, it starts to wind down and move off to the east and diminish as the atmosphere starts to cool. Plus, it'll get worked over. This CAPE's going to be used up. It's sort of a narrow corridor here, not a big warm sector like we have seen in recent weeks. Looking at the 500 millibar flow, so what are our winds doing as we go up into the atmosphere? Well, there's not a lot of wind here this morning and early afternoon, but look what happens this afternoon as we start to push forward. These green colors come in. This is 50, 55, close to 60 knots of mid-level jet streaking in here. You can see these brighter colors represent this jet streak, or represented by that jet streak. And we start to see that flow really increase as we get on into the evening. So mid-level winds are going to go up, and that increases your wind shear with height, and the atmosphere is conducive today for supercell development. Now, supercells don't mean tornadoes, as I talked about yesterday, necessarily, but it helps create more dynamic severe weather if you have a supercell thunderstorm. And in this case, we're going to see the potential temperature profiles in the atmosphere increases the potential for large hail. So that's why we're seeing that hail threat over those areas. And so that's what's going on today. Looking at how this will play out this afternoon. So watch this. This is late this afternoon. Look what happens. We start to see a blow up of thunderstorm activity over Iowa, here in Nebraska, right in, remember, here, let me draw this for you so we can keep our bearings here. This area here is where the kind of the enhanced threat is, like right in there, generally. And so watch what happens here as we get on into the late evening or the late afternoon into evening hours. Look at that. Just a big blow up, big cluster of thunderstorms start to develop in here. This is where we're going to see our primary hail threat. And then that all kind of, dissipates as we go through the overnight hours and winds down a little bit. So pay attention up here in central Iowa, eastern Nebraska, southern Minnesota. We're going to see plenty of storms develop later today, and some of those could be quite hazardous. Now, if we take a look down the line just a little bit for tomorrow, we've got a big area of slight risk. We'll see if any of this gets upgraded too, but for now we've got a slight risk from Wichita Falls all the way up through Madison, Wisconsin, just in a corridor here. And tornado threat is very low. We're not looking at the kind of wind shear in the low levels and moisture returns that we would need to see for a tornado outbreak. So not expecting that. Wind, again, 15%, and hail, again, around 15% too. So our primary threats are going to be wind damage sporadically and hail, and potentially down here in Texas and Oklahoma, we could see hail in, again, excess of 2 inches in diameter. There's going to be a cap in the atmosphere, meaning it's probably going to take much of the day, especially the southern parts of the area, for thunderstorm development to take place, okay? So just watch out for that. And then as we get on into Saturday, way down here, South Texas, all the way up through just north of Little Rock into the southern areas of Missouri is where our slight risk is. This actually extended up into the Ohio Valley tomorrow for Saturday. The slight risk did yesterday. It extended up that far. It's been cut back a little bit today, as it looks like there's just a little less moisture return up here, so a little more uncertainty of how the severe threat might develop. But there's a marginal risk that exists, so you can't rule out severe weather. And again, hail and high winds are the primary threat. Also, as you see, these areas kind of align over the, especially in the southern areas, they align over a couple of days. So we're going to see training of thunderstorms, and that's going to increase the flood threat. And we're going to talk about that too here in just a minute. Looking at day 4, this is Easter Sunday from Missouri into western Tennessee, western Alabama, down to just west of or east of Dallas into the northern parts of Louisiana, encompassing Shreveport, Little Rock, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, all of those areas in here up to St. Louis. We're looking at a potential for a bumpy Easter Sunday. So pay attention out here in these areas. Again, looking at the 500 millibar flow here. This is for Friday morning as we get on into Friday morning, into Friday afternoon. Look at this flow. It starts to strengthen. We've got this big trough in the west generating a strong southwesterly flow. We're getting moisture return out of the Gulf. Wind shear increases with height as we get these strong jet streaks to move in. We go through the course of Friday afternoon into Saturday. Plenty of wind energy that sort of shifts into the Ohio Valley. The core of that does, but we've got another little storm system here at the base of this trough. It's getting a low pressure center organized in West Texas, and that's going to help fuel wind out here as well in the mid levels. And then we get on into Sunday and push this through for Sunday, and you can see this little jet streak out here in Texas as that low pressure system gets organized. Trough turns negative. We're seeing moisture come in out of the Gulf. So we're going to have plenty of instability to work with. We're going to have plenty of wind shear to work with. And we're going to see that severe weather threat pop out over these areas here that we saw kind of outlined before. And so that's where our focus is going to be come Sunday afternoon. So pay attention if you live in those areas. I know Easter activities are going on. People are heading out to church. Probably the severe threat will be mostly in the afternoon. But anyway, stay weather aware as you're doing your Easter activities out there. It should be a cloudy and damp day. That jet streak strengthens as that low pressure moves on up into the central plains. And heavy rain should ensue as we have good divergence upstairs to create plenty of lift for the atmosphere. And that moves on out of the picture on Monday as the low works into the Great Lakes. And then just looking at our dew points, here's the dew point profile of the atmosphere. This is Friday afternoon into the evening. And you can see where the dry air is back here. This is where your fire danger would be down here in the southwest, where you've got windy conditions and dry weather. Plenty of moisture across the eastern sections of the country, so the fire danger at least should be mitigated to some extent as we continue to go through the next few days. Saturday afternoon, good moisture return. We're not looking at 70s dew points, we're looking at dew points in the 60s here, so it's going to mitigate making this a widespread severe weather event. And then we get on out into Sunday, still got moisture return, and you can start to see that low pressure lifting up in the front coming through and ending the rain threat as we get on into the overnight hours on Sunday. That will push off and should bring some shower and thunderstorm activity out to the southeast as we get on into Monday. So that, my friends, is your severe weather outlook over the next few days. Again, hail and wind are the primary threats. We're not looking at a widespread tornado outbreak or a severe weather outbreak, but potential for scattered severe thunderstorms, plenty of rain as storms form into clusters and line segments and train over the same areas, particularly in Missouri and Arkansas. We'll look at that here in just a minute. We're not quite in hurricane season yet, but we're getting to the point in the year where it's time to start almost thinking about talking about hurricanes. And so I'm going to go ahead and prep you up for a good hurricane fun fact that you can share at the water cooler. Do you know that hurricanes release massive amounts of energy? In fact, the energy from an average hurricane is equivalent to around 10,000 nuclear bombs. So who needs nuclear bombs when you have hurricanes, right? Hurricanes also drop massive amounts of water. In terms of Hurricane Harvey, for example, it dropped, it was in 2017, by the way, dropped over 33 trillion gallons of water across the United States. So that is a lot of energy and a lot of water. So there you go. We're going to wind things up here looking at the flooding threat over the next few days, and we're going to start by looking at the Weather Prediction Center's idea of where the excessive rainfall should occur. Day one today, we're looking at Minnesota up into Wisconsin. Day two, which is tomorrow, Friday, there is a slight risk of excessive rain in this area from Kansas to Missouri over into Oklahoma, again with a moderate or a marginal risk, sorry, around that. Day three, now we've got a moderate risk for those areas, a slight risk surrounding that, and a marginal risk surrounding that. Day four, just kind of a big broad area of marginal risk up here. This is Easter Sunday, by the way. And then D5, we've got less than 5% chance of anything going on there as all that rainfall is sweeping out. But we're going to see rainfall training over the same areas. Looking at the precipitable water, I showed this yesterday. This is just an image of moisture integrated through the entire atmosphere. And what you're going to pay attention to is where this axis of heaviest moisture is. And right now it's right from southern Texas all the way up into the Great Lakes. Now watch what happens as we put this map into motion. This is Saturday. So if I roll this back a little bit, you can see from Friday evening up into Friday overnight into Saturday morning. And as we get on into Saturday morning, look at that axis. It starts to shift a little bit to the south up here in the northern areas, but the southern areas stay pretty much in place. So you have this training of moisture, this little atmospheric river event coming in from Texas up through Missouri and Arkansas, Oklahoma, just staying in the same place. This is Sunday afternoon. Now we're finally seeing as this low pressure works up into the Great Lakes, the trough shifts east, the front shifts east, all of that together shifts on to the east, and you start to see all of that push into the south, into the east, and remove the threat, but not before several days of training showers and thunderstorms occur over those areas. Looking at the total precipitation outlook, this is an ensemble mean showing 4 to 6 inches of rainfall in the area centered from essentially Oklahoma City up through St. Louis and into Springfield, Illinois. And so you've got, that's your kind of axis of heaviest rain with several inches around that. So pay attention out here. If you receive flood warnings, you need to know what to do, have multiple ways of getting alerts. As I said before, Sunday is going to be a fun, active time, but it's still going to be raining pretty hard with a severe threat out here too. So pay attention to all of that. Putting this all together in terms of the surface map and what to expect here with the surface map, we're seeing activity. This is this afternoon, showers and thunderstorms that we saw before. As we roll this on through the day on Friday, we're seeing showers and thunderstorms all along from Texas up into the Great Lakes, snow out here in Colorado, a little bit of rain starting to work back into the Northeast. Getting into Sunday after or Saturday afternoon, again, much of the same area, seeing thunderstorm activity, snow continuing in Colorado, 78 degrees one day, snowing the next day. Man, you got to love Colorado. It's wild weather out there. And as we get into Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, we're looking at the potential for heavy rains in Oklahoma, in Kansas, in Missouri, and Arkansas as we go through the day. Cold up in the Northeast. We've got some showers potentially up here on Sunday, so watch out. I know that you don't see anything depicted here, but it's potential for some showers up there. Showers up in the Northwest. And as we get on into Monday, everything kind of rolls through. Those showers kind of break apart as the main dynamics head off to the north. Leftover moisture in the southeast maybe can generate some shower activities. We get through the Monday evening into Tuesday. And then the pattern just kind of remains active. We have storm systems kind of translating in the jet stream, and that'll set the stage for shower and thunderstorm activity. We could see severe weather threats out next week. That's just unclear at this time, but the active pattern kind of remains. Dry in the desert Southwest is kind of the main theme. Above average precipitation in the center of the country, and then working off to the east through time. Temperatures starting off here at the early period, this is this afternoon, near average to below up in the Northeast, above average in the mid parts of the country, central parts of the country as we get into this afternoon into tomorrow. Cool push behind this where this trough is out west. That's going to continue to push in. This looks like it did yesterday, by the way. And so, again, as we get into the weekend, much above normal on the east, the eastern section of the country, a little below normal out west, and that all moderates out in time. So over time, we're going to see the entire country start to warm up, with maybe a few cold exceptions up here in the Northeast. You'll see some cold intrusions out of Canada from time to time along the west coast where you've got clouds and showers. We'll see a little bit below normal out there, but pretty close to normal. Big ridge parked over the eastern half of the country, and we'll see kind of a return to mild conditions for everybody. 6 to 10 day time frame, looking at the National Weather Service here. Most of the country for the 6 to 10 day period is above normal, and really centered along the southeast. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook above in the center, in the south, central especially, and the southeast, above normal, near normal in the northeast, near to below in the west. Week 2 looks pretty much the same, so I'm not going to show it. But that's what we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks, folks. And continued active pattern in the east, warmer temperatures than normal for much of the country. We could see continued severe weather threats too as we go along, and we'll just pay attention to those. Now, aurora for tonight, that still got some geomagnetic storm impacting us. So anywhere from north half of Washington State up through the Great Lakes, we can see auroras this evening. So pay attention if you're up there. Hopefully you'll get a clear sky to be able to do that. And that brings us to the answer to today's trivia question. And the question was, what is the most common type of lightning? Cloud to cloud, cloud to ground, ball lightning, or heat lightning? And the answer is cloud to cloud lightning. That is the most common type of lightning. And an interesting fact here, heat lightning. People talk about heat lightning all the time. Heat lightning is actually real lightning. It's not heat lightning. There's no such thing as really heat lightning. It's just lightning off in the distance that people see in the summertime, typically when you have thunderstorm activity. And that lightning actually is producing thunder and is associated with a thunderstorm. You just can't hear it or see the effects of the thunderstorm except for the lightning. It's just called heat lightning. It's sort of a weather folklore kind of thing. And that's it. Now you know about lightning. Now you know the weather. And as always, this is Cold Rain reminding you that if other stations run 24/7, we got you covered 48/14 right here at Cold Rain's Weather World. So that's it, folks. Take care. Have a great afternoon. I'll be back tomorrow with another update. See ya.